What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 35 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Thorgrim Grudgebearer Old World campaign. So as we saw last time, the great battles towards the end of the campaign continue. We're still having a lot of good ones, and well, I would expect that there's still plenty more really fun ones to be had. Definitely a lot of longevity into this campaign, at least in that regard, and we'll see how long we can take it. Otherwise, it looks like the Order of Lore Masters High Elves have been pretty much destroyed and kicked out of the Badlands with only the one territory remaining, and soon Thorgrim will move down to fight against Batman here, and probably Kugath as well, because frankly, Kugath is one of the most powerful remaining empires that have any kind of hope of annoying and or threatening us, at least in the southern portion of the map. There is, of course, still the massive Skaven Empire here that we have to deal with, and the Broken Axe were doing decently well with territories essentially in Bretonnia and in the Empire. And we'll see how well they stand up to our allies, as over the last, 5 or so turns, we've been giving them like 100,000 gold each. So they should be getting a little bit more powerful. Anyway, let's start from the top, shall we? Who's going to move first? And it looks like Grimly Quarrel Seeker. I was hoping to do the, I kind of wanted to do the Khorne fight. You know what? I'm going to start with the Khorne fight. Yes, it's out of order, but it is what it is. I just really want to fight these guys with our GRIMTIDE army. It just feels like it's going to be fun. So, let's get the... I was about to say get the skill points on the Thanes, but they're actually looking pretty okay. Alright, Retinue Trainer for the both of you. And then the Runesmith, you are missing... Well, the missile resistance doesn't help, and frankly, the spell resistance isn't super useful for us here either. I'm gonna say Rune of Speed. No, you know what? Let's go for a Rune of Negation. Emergency in case somebody gets very badly damaged by something here. There's a lot of Khornites after all, and I think it'll be a nice, tough fight. You are currently at war with the Order of Lore Masters and the Exiles of Nehek, so we'll ask the Exiles of Nehek to join. Well, we need to maintain relative friendly... Oh, don't bother taking their money. Oh, wow, you have no money. We should probably give them some money. Or I would anyway if they were still kind of not unhappy with the lizards. Hopefully, after a little bit of time fighting Kugath and some territory swapping, they will become friendlier with each other. I really don't want to bother with wiping them out again, and I'm happy with both of them occupying territories in the Marshes of Madness there. Anyway, let's try the GRIMTIDE versus the Khornites. I'm willing to bet that they'll fight, because there's a lot of them. Pyrrhic Victory, huh? Oh, interesting. We've got Minotaurs. Ooh, we got a Bloodthirster, plus the Exalted Bloodthirster of Mr. Carnal's Stare. Yeah, 4 Blood Crushers. Minotaurs, lots of tier 4s and 5s in here, and just tons and tons of Exalted Bloodletters with their armor-piercing damage. I'm almost surprised that the auto-resolve is giving this to us so much as it currently is, because it's not like we'd be obliterating the enemy at range, and they outnumber us more than 2.5 to 1. Either way, it'll be a fun fight. More GRIMTIDE, your debut battle as well. Good luck. Alrighty, here we go. Time to see if we can hold the enemy back, and just whose tide is grimmer. We've got plenty of Longbeards, Ironbreakers, Hammerers, and Giant Slayers to go around. And I guess it'll be on the Longbeards. They're essentially the weak link in our chain, and while they are still heavily armored, 130 and 77 armor and melee defense, they are going to be considerably weaker on the defense than the Ironbreakers and such are, and similar for the Longbeards with great weapons and the units of Hammerers. Anyway, we're going to position ourselves with at least, we're horribly outnumbered, so we're going to make use of these 2 little impassable terrain bits to see if that helps us hold the enemy back. And up front, we have all of our shielded units, though admittedly the enemy doesn't have any range other than a single skull cannon, and, well, I guess the Ironbreakers can still do something about that, but the rest of our units probably can't. And it's not like we're super afraid of that, but all those other units have extra melee defense, which is certainly going to be needed. Anyway, the battle will start off as Carnal Stare himself is going to land and start hacking his way through some of those Longbeards. But this is why we were keeping our units of Giant Slayers in the back. They hit immediately and directly towards that exalted Bloodthirster. He's only taken a little bit of damage so far, though, and has hacked his way through at least a few of the Giant Slayers already. And there's another Bloodthirster hovering around. It looks like the second Bloodthirster will actually go directly for our Lord here. And, ooh, pushing him back and away from our line. Kind of clever, actually, as that is a much less safe position than we otherwise would be in. Otherwise, here come the first of the enemies. The battle is only just starting. Nice big old charge from some of the Blood Crushers of Khorne, together with all those Bloodletters and Fleshhounds, and it's time to see if we can hold the line. Second unit of Giant Slayers will move forward to start trying to surround that Bloodthirster. We have a Hammerer unit, which is going to head directly to the enemy Herald of Nurgle, and the second unit of Hammerers also to head towards those Bloodthirsters. They're too disruptive to our formations, and they have a lot of armor piercing and a lot of splash damage coming in, so we need to try to focus them down best as we can. First Bloodthirster is down by about 30% of its HP. It's going to take a fairly long time to deal with them. Herald of Khorne, rather, down by about 30% as well. And then Carnal Stare is in the best shape of all of them, but that's hardly surprising. He is exalted after all. And it's going to take a fair bit of effort to bring him down, all the while trying to hold back the rest of the enemy, the Forsaken, the Bloodletters, whatever, with our Longbeards. Alright, Carnal Stare down to half HP, and it looks like finally the Giant Slayers and the Hammerers that have surrounded the enemy regular Bloodthirster have nearly brought it down. It's going to get a few more blows in, and before it at last gets banished back to Khorne's realm. Mount's power remains in the enemy's favor, and there's still plenty of reinforcements to make their way onto the battlefield, including some of those Minotaurs. Carnal Stare still causing us a little bit of havoc. Although it looks like the enemy Herald of Nurgle is just about done for, going to kill off a last Dwarf Warrior, or Longbeard, or Hammer, whatever it was, before he goes down and loses his own skull. And Carnal Stare is very much on the way out as well, just about 10% of his HP remaining. And, oh, are you running in your last moments? Come on, man. There we go. Head back into the fight. Khorne's not going to like that. Hammerers and Giant Slayers still trying to make their way through the press of Longbeards that are holding the line to get to Carnal Stare and bring the Exalted Bloodthirster down. 830 HP on him, and he has managed to take about 60% of the HP off of our Lord as well, which admittedly is pretty impressive. Alright, the AI is behaving really weirdly with this unit. Is it trying to cycle charge? I'm not entirely sure what the heck it's supposed to be doing here. Not that I mind seeing those animations at least a few extra times, and there we go. With that, Carnal Stare goes down, and the last of the Exalted Bloodthirsters are out. That said, the battle once again is hardly over. First of the Minotaurs make their way onto the battlefield, still one more, and the Skull Cannon to come on in, and we've also got the Soul Grinder barreling towards us as we speak. And now that our Giant Slayers are no longer having to deal with the enemy units of Bloodthirsters, they're now shadowing the other units of large units like the Skull Crushers, and essentially rushing towards them as they rush towards our battle lines, like here, together with the Hammerers, and also plugging any gaps, really, because we've started to take a lot of damage, especially on the Longbeards. 40% HP, 40% HP. Our Lord is heavily damaged. I believe there's a heavily damaged, or a couple heavily damaged units of Longbeards around here as well. This one's down to less than 50% of its HP as well, but they are still holding. And they're just going to have to keep on holding. Alright, still more enemies on the way, and it looks like the Soul Grinder has arrived on our left flank. Another unit that we're going to need to counter. Our Thane will attempt to hold it off as best as it can. We've also summoned our Ancestral Shield Bearers in the background, summoning them essentially as soon as we brought Carnal Stare down. They had witnessed the glory of the Grimtide, and, well, I guess they wanted to participate, at least a little bit. Anyway, it looks like our numbers are starting to dwindle. We're starting to take not only HP damage, but unit losses at this point, and we can see we're on the verge of being at least broken through our line, at least in the main ranks. The right flank is doing a little bit better as the Longbeards, with the help of the Thane and the Ancestral Shield Bearers, have been managing to hold off what few enemy units have attempted to move here. And here come the Minotaurs as well. We're going to back our units of Giant Slayers out from where they currently stand and get ready to smash them back into the line where those Minotaurs arrive. Though admittedly they could have stayed and kept on fighting the Bloodletters as well, or Blood Crushers as well. And damn, certainly a very, very long melee brawl. We've been brawling for about 7 minutes, I believe. Alright, just trying to get to those Minotaurs. There we go, Giant Slayers, it's all you. You and the Hammerers, I guess. And then that Soul Grinder fighting still with the Minotaurs, and still got about 60% of its HP, which is not too bad. Looks like the enemy wants to try to cycle charge with those Minotaurs in the same manner as it's been doing with the Blood Crushers for this entire battle. They'll charge on in, and they'll back on out. Frankly, I kind of don't expect it out of units of Minotaurs, simply because, I don't know, especially Minotaurs, I mean generally Minotaurs, but especially Minotaurs of Khorne are berserk and, you know, blood greedy and all that. They'll just barrel towards the line. They're not going to think about trying to cycle charge. And they're just going to keep on fighting. That said, the bounce power has at last shifted very slightly in our favor to about 60% only. We're below half HP on every single unit, and the first of our unit of Longbeards has fled the battle line, as in routed. I'm getting a few cannon shots out of that Soul Grinder on the enemy. And then, yeah, this has been a very long brawl against the enemy Exalted Bloodletters, if nothing else. As there have been so many to take the place of so many others. Alright, it looks like the Minotaurs are down to about half HP and shaken now. The bounce power at about 65% in our favor and climbing, though it looks like the enemy is starting to overrun the left flank, and we're going to reinforce our left with our right, as the units of Longbeards with great weapons are no longer needed there. It looks like, however, the enemy army is shattering. The demonic units will, of course, fight to the end, but the mortals will break and rout, and the battle is just about ours. Still a Soul Grinder to work our way through. The Giant Slayers move on in to slay the big boy. Several of them get sent flying, and ooh, nice strike with your sword, buddy. Gotta get at least one last nice hit before you're banished for good, and then have to start all over. Alright, and there we are. With that, the last of the enemy units have been defeated or deleted, and the battle is ours. Okay, I guess the poor Skull Cannon never managed to quite make it onto the battlefield to do too much fighting, getting one last shot off, but it looks like that one doesn't achieve anything. Lovely. Alright, a really fun victory, a Pyrrhic victory, but well-earned as I mean, what a heck of a debut battle for the Grimtide. Ah, there we go. Wasn't that just a beautiful fight? The Grimtide standing against the massive numbers of the Khornate forces. We had a little bit of trouble dealing with Carnal Stare and the other Bloodthirster. He managed to rack up 15,000 damage and 44 kills. Pretty darn solid. Our units of Giant Slayers were absolutely working overtime, running around in the back line and then responding to the Minotaurs, responding to the Bloodthirsters, responding to the charges of all of those Blood Crushers, and I think it was a good decision to keep the 8 units, so basically half the army as Longbeards, and rather than, you know, using all hammerers and all iron breakers. Now, the fact that we have a significant amount of longbeards essentially creates weaknesses in our battle line, and it was the longbeards that broke in several places. In fact, one of them shamed their ancestors and routed, though they didn't shatter and did come back, but still, I think that was the U, or no, actually it was the U. But anyway, how dare they leave the battle line when everybody else was still fighting. But anyway, a really, really fun fight. Great work for basically every single unit type here. Everybody got tons of damage. We got 41,000 damage on one of the iron breakers. Obviously, the longbeards didn't do nearly as well as the iron breakers and hammerers, but they're effectively the sort of weaker variant of the same unit archetype to some degree. There's a little bit of difference between the hammerers and the great weapon longbeards, admittedly, but nonetheless, really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed the army. Got 42,000 XP and I think 6 levels out of the one fight, which probably not so surprising considering that we were facing off against 2.5 Khorne stacks with tons of armor piercing. All right, well, now, and oh, you don't have siege attacker, do you? I'm willing to bet that you don't, meaning we can't attack this. Oh, look at that, is annoying. Yeah, see, I kind of learned my lesson from this campaign in terms of the orcs campaign, and I've been giving the orcs... I can hold on to the trickster or something, whatever. I've been giving the orcs a unit with siege attacker in every single army, so I don't have to deal with it a million times, but anyway. Well done to the Grimtide. Speaking of the Grimtide, you guys... What do we want to do in terms of veneration? Grugny will give us another 4 melee defense, but our melee defense is probably pretty darn solid. The Giant Slayers could use more, but at 59, they're already pretty okay. The Hammers are even on melee attack and defense, whereas the Iron Breakers and Longbeards with axe and board are actually fairly low on it. Venerate Grimnir is a decent option. Generally speaking, I've had a tendency to just go Venerate Smednir for the magical attacks, and admittedly, against the magical enemies of the demons, that would be nice. And frankly, the Grimtide will probably then proceed southward to fight Nurgle. Which would also potentially be better. On the other hand, it feels like Grimnir might be a little bit more... Well, I mean... It's not a Slayer army, but I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna think about it a little bit more. It's got to be either Grimnir or Smednir. I don't like the loss of -5 melee attack on the relatively low melee attack Ironbreakers, though. Although they are mostly supposed to hold the line. Anyway, what we do want is what? We have Grimnir Zairs and we have Axe Lords, so the most important traits are there. They're probably a long way until we get too many rank 7s, but at least the Hammerers can benefit out of Honored by Grimnir. And the Stand Your Ground, I guess we'll get Blessed by Grugny immediately for the Longbeards for when they reach the same said ranks. We got to get Obstinacy, I guess, which actually would have helped quite a lot in that particular battle. Lovely. Alrighty, well, you just sit there and... Oh, I guess we'll level your Thanes as well, because we'll get attack next turn. So we have Revered Thane. We should probably get Rune of Grimnir, not for the missile resistance, but for the unit mass, since they're kind of in the midst of all the fighting. And let's get you Ancestral Grudge and Blade Master. Resolute isn't helpful, since these guys are pretty much never charging. Rune of Grimnir and Blade Master and Ancestral Grudge. We should probably also get Hero just for the additional unit XP gain so that these guys can level up decently quick, or else their Lord will significantly out-level them. Let's get you Sharpen Weapons, and let's... Oh, we should get Wardbreaker and to Strike the Runes, and Rune Master. Wait, we have 5 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, alright, fine. We'll skip all of that then and go straight into Rune Master, and then we'll go for Strike the Runes after. Lovely. Alright, that was a really fun fight. You guys are good to go. Where is Grimly? I believe you're up next. We fought some Khornates, now it's time to fight some Slaanesh. What are you missing? You have Obstinacy, you have all the red line, meaning we're free to probably go through Blade Shield and into Deadly Onslaught. Thanes, you can grab Foe Seeker. Runesmith. You can grab Strike the Runes, and you already have Rune Master, and we are the Elite. I'm gonna say start going through Rune of Grimnir. Yeah, it would be nice to get the other points in the big runes, but we'll deal with it later. And then the Engineers. Alright, we'll start with the lower level guy. Let's get you Zipbar 42 Pounders and Requisition. Or should we go through We Are the Elite? Wait. Yeah, you know what? We Are the Elite is quite useful in this army because it's ranged based, or at least, well, it's actually sort of a half and half army, but anyway. Let's get We Are the Elite maxed out, and then you can get Zipbar 42 pounders. Lovely. Alright, Grimley, I believe you're ready to go. We don't really need Valea's Will, and we just want to attack, and we will go into regular stance. And this army's in march stance outside the enemy settlement. Let's see if we can draw them out. Oh. We're gonna get seduced here. I wonder which unit. Oh, hopefully it's not one of the, it's probably gonna be one of the artillery pieces. I think... Wait, do we have an artillery piece that prevents the seduction? Frankly, it shouldn't even... I feel like it shouldn't even really affect the dwarfs all that much, but whatever. I think I checked this before, and I think we did... Oh my lord, all the stonemasons in the world. Runesmith's Apprentice. I feel like Runesmith's Apprentice should maybe double on reducing Slaanesh seduction. Not seeing anything here. Dwarf and Tattooist. Da-da-da-da-da. Dwarf Bride. Choirmaster. Brewmaster, Archivist. No, we don't need it. Alright, well, I guess no choice in the matter, just go. Let's see what unit we lose. Please don't be Grimley's Grumbling Guard, and it is the King Lun Legion. Hopefully they don't lose their names. I'm not crazy, they don't lose their names when that happens, right? I guess we're about to find out. We'll quick save in case it crashes, and we'll head straight on in. Go. Alrighty, here we go. We've fought 2.5 stacks of Khornates, might as well. I mean, it's only fair that we fight roughly the same amount of his rival, Slaanesh, as well. As to whether we can hold the enemy off, that certainly remains to be seen. There's a lot of fast movers, and against Slaanesh, with an army that is fairly reliant on its range damage, with the enemy outnumbering us by so much, it's certainly going to be dangerous. I'm willing to bet that a lot of our range units, at least our Quarrelers, are going to have to move into melee, and just to hold off the sheer number of Heart Seekers, Regular Seekers, Chariots, Fiends of Slaanesh, and just tons and tons of fast movers all over the place. I mean, this thing has 3 Chariots and 2 Seekers by the looks of it. One of their armies does. The second one has 4 more Seekers, 3 more Chariots, Soul Grinder, a Keeper of Secrets, 3 Fiends. Alright, well, we'll see. It's certainly a dicey proposition. The thing we do have going for us is the fact that the Slaanesh are fairly fragile, and we should hopefully be able to knock out a fair few before they reach us. Anyway, we had deployed relatively close to the first enemy army just to try to do as much damage as we can with our bolt throwers before the reinforcements arrive, but now that our bolt throwers have done a decent bit of damage, we're going to back up. Our engineer, on top of, with his gyrocopter and his brimstone gun, will knock out one of the enemy Aluruses, or I guess this is a Herald of Slaanesh here, and then get ready to head back towards our main line here. As for why we moved up here, we got a little bit of a hill which will help us to slow the enemy down at least a tiny bit, but perhaps more importantly we have our left flank at least protected by some impassable terrain and a little bit of forest. Alrighty, we also have to concern ourselves with the King Lun Legion, which has been seduced by Slaanesh. I suppose if any unit was going to get seduced, maybe it was appropriate that it was the King Lun Legion, as maybe there are so many King Luns, who knows, maybe a few Villatrescas made their way into their ranks. Anyway, enemy continues heading towards us now, and the balance of power has shifted to about 70-80% in the enemy's favor. Going to start targeting those big old Seeker Chariots as they make their way towards us. Ooh, looks like a lot of those bolt thrower shots will go wide. But at the same time, it feels like the Seeker Chariots are also dodging a fair few of those shots, so it doesn't make sense. Of course, not every unit of bolt throwers is firing at these guys, and we still have our quarrelers to knock them out as well. First unit is out. There is other units to target. Another bolt thrower is targeting another unit of Exalted Seeker Chariots, regular Hellflayers here, and of course the Keeper of Secrets, which has lost about 30% of its HP so far. Still, that's a pretty crazy amount of fast movers moving their way towards us, and I don't think there's any way that we can stop them all. And just do what we can. Alrighty, another Exalted Seeker Chariot about to go, I think. Down it goes. Keeper of Secrets down to about half HP and still moving towards us with that Soul Grinder. Looks like this unit of Seekers is just about out as well. And ooh, the enemy are massing on their right flank, on our right flank, as let's see, 3 Seeker units or 2 Seeker units are joined by 3 Chariot units, and we do not have enough units over on our right flank to keep that from reaching us, which ain't so great. The Keeper of Secrets has been banished, and now we turn our sights upon the Soul Grinder and the Fiends of Slaanesh, which have made it towards our line, though by the looks of it, not for all that much longer. Lash of Slaanesh comes down even as the Soul Grinder gets banished. Whenever fighting Slaanesh, it's usually a pretty quick battle as the enemy hits hard but also dies hard. Slaanesh a giggle. And it does look like at least a couple of the enemy chariot units have made their way towards our back line. Hardly surprising, we immediately move our units of quarrelers with great weapons into the melee to try to hack those Hellflayers apart and get ready for another unit of Seeker Chariots. Fortunately, we slowed them down massively with the Flash Bomb down to only 24 speed because that plus Frostbite alone is enough from the engineer, and it allows another unit of our quarrelers to move in and block them off before they get to our artillery pieces. While we did manage to destroy a lot of the bigger units, the monstrous infantry and the monsters, it looks like plenty of Seekers have arrived on our main line. We got 3 here, plenty of chariots as well. We got 2 units over on the left flank, and then we still have like a dozen units of marauders getting ready to move. Of course, the enemy will continue cycle charging, and just because we managed to absorb a couple of hits here and there doesn't mean that they won't charge through the rest of our ranks and find another hole in our battle lines. Alrighty, and the enemies hits us with the Lash of Slaanesh, and we hit them right back with a nice Zufbar 42 pounders through those lines of Demonettes. Bolt throwers continue trying to target those Seeker Chariots that they can. Seekers still trying to make their way through our lines, and ooh, some Demonettes have nearly killed off our Runesmith, who was attempting to back up with that Rune of Battle, and in fact is broken now, and will run away. He had been forced into a rampage. I guess he got hit by Fascination or something, I'm not sure. Moved past our front line, and another charge from another unit of Seekers, and yet another unit of Seekers will crash into the Dalnola's unit and take about half of their HP. Damn, those charges from those Seekers are pretty darn devastating. It's just lucky that they're so fragile that even the Quarrelers can obliterate them in melee if we sort of force them into the fight, which we can certainly do between the Frostbite slowing them down to 12 movement. Or was that us that was at 12 movement? I think that was them. Anyway, they were pretty slow is what I'm getting at. Kingland Legion is still in the fight against our unit of senior citizens here. And the Longbeards are exchanging blows. But mostly we just want to hold the line and by and large ignore them. So it's probably a good thing that they approached us over on the left flank where most of our range units are not targeting them. It does look like the bounce power is shifting in our favor. I can see the chain route approaching. A lot of our range units were engaged in melee against the enemy. Of course, our Longbeards were able to hold where the enemy charged Longbeards instead of the Quarrelers. And otherwise, it looks like we managed to do it. Ooh, alrighty. Very close to being overrun at the top of the kill. And we can see the damage on, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess, yeah, every single unit of Quarrelers had to fight in melee, at least to some degree. And frankly, if the enemy had approached us all together, if it had waited and approached us with the Marauders at the same time as all of those units of fast movers, it would have done a lot better here, and we probably would have had to move all of our quarrelers into melee much earlier in the battle, and maybe even change up our formation slightly. But anyway, heroic victory for Grimly. He's pretty used to those, and I guess we've generally gotten pretty used to those through the course of the campaign. Ooh, alright, certainly was on the verge of being overrun there, at least for a minute. We took heavy damage to our runesmith, unfortunately, as, I don't know, he went into a rampage and then decided to take on a unit of demon nets or exalted demon nets, and obviously with their armor piercing, they were able to nearly tear him to shreds. It just managed to escape, but, well. Otherwise, we took a decent bit of damage to Dalnolas. I guess it's become a famed artillery piece even amongst demonkind, and they will spare no expense in terms of trying to wipe it out. Though you'd think that the Slaanesh in particular would actually be happy that it's been killing Khornates. But anyway, we're going to attract replacements because we need to destroy the remnants of this. I imagine... Okay, yeah, we did get the Kinglang Legion back, though damaged they remain. And we killed in battle, Talisman of Preservation, Gyrocopter for Thick Matokwas, and... this is the old version. Has this been fixed? Anybody playing on the current version? Did they make this go away, this nonsense? With the billion Slaaneshi armies? It would be nice. Anyway, Grimly, you leveled up to level 39, so at least a couple more levels. Gets you to Deadly Onslaught. Alright, level everybody else up while we're moving on in as well. You guys do want Indomitable, but I think we want the... Wait. In this army, actually we don't need Hero because the units have already been XP'd up nearly to the max. We don't need Dowie Authority. I guess we'll just go through Blade Shield. 113 melee defense. At least these guys can certainly hold the ground. You have Rune Master and Strike the Runes. Leadership when defending doesn't really do much for us, so let us do... Well, the extra armor wouldn't have helped, so maybe a little bit of extra HP, rather than anything else. Alrighty, what about the NGs? So far, 42 pounders for you, we are the elite for you, and then requisition. Not that we're super afraid of running out of ammunition at this point. Certainly not in this army, though other armies may have... Oh! You need to... Oh, we're okay, no, you're level 17. I was about to say, you were supposed to stop... Start holding points. You are supposed to master bolt throwers. Reload time reduction, ammunition, and missile damage. Even harder hitting bolt throwers. Beautiful. And I guess we'll get Sapper as well, since a fair amount of this army likes to reposition themselves on occasion. What are we at here? 970, 1.5k damage on the overcompensating quarrels. And we'll see how high they'll climb with another set of bolt thrower masteries. Anyway, we'll do this. And we cannot resolve it, and I'm just going to hope it doesn't do too much damage. Oh, well, we will also quick save it. Because the other Slaaneshi armies are nearby to resolve. I still find it a little bit weird the Dwarfs don't have any kind of counterplay to the, to the crashing. We have no counterplay to the crashing. Oh, well, be right back. Alright, let's try that again. Auto-resolve will still take severe damage, at least to the Longbeards, but, well, let's just hope that the other Slaaneshi aren't actually close enough to reach us. It didn't look like they were, though even if one is, it only takes one, because the rest can march stance, and, hey, we finally have some seduction budget reduction. Still feel like we should have some kind of dwarven-specific ancillaries to counteract that, like some factions certainly do, but what do I know? Anyway, well, looks like these guys aren't in range. There's a heck of a lot of them. I was gonna save them for Grimbrindle, but now it feels like it's probably unlikely. Anyway, Grimly, stay there. Ooh, we can also... Okay, you already have that. Alright, I'll deal with the... we'll deal with the other points later. Anyway, who's up next? We fought the Khornates, we fought the Slaaneshi. Who else do we have? Ekrund, yes, up to tier 5 at last. You guys will probably sally out, so we're free to besiege you. and fight you on the battlefield as soon as we end the turn. That's Finn, Arcan, Dreskelson. Rearguard Asgal is... you have two purposes. One is to deliver this Master Engineer, who has Innovator, I take it? Yeah. And I guess that's still going to be the case. And we'll still need to build another army here, but yeah, I have no problem with you guys. Oh, don't tell me. Are you serious? You can't jump over this? Why? That's concerning. You know what, maybe we'll leave it to next turn. I'm pretty sure, because Oldest Helheim did. Why can't you? What's the difference? What's the difference between you two? You have Root Marcher. What the heck is going on here? Also, Mr. Rearguard would like you to get Inquiring Mind just for the additional recruitment while we're here as well. Alert, Casualty, or Punishment. Okay, no, that really helps. Doesn't really matter what we get. Just get Inquiring Mind. There you go. Oh, wait. Do you have... Yes, we also will want Ear of the Council because it gives us a local recruitment capacity and recruitment... Well, I actually don't care about the reductions. Might care about the recruitment rank more if we make... Longbeards. Let's just do that. Again, it doesn't really matter. And just hope that you can come down here somewhere. Is there anywhere closer that we can get? Is this maybe? Alright, fine. Go here. Maybe this is a little bit closer? We'll see. I really just don't want to go all the way around. Anyway, who was actually next after Finn? Was it... Okay, that was Rearguard Asgal. Thorek Ironbrow. You, sir. We'll grab Fort Dolganyire, but for now, let's head you down to Zamoski and then get these guys their territory back so that we have somebody holding this territory. Oh! Yeah, I have a feeling they're gonna get wiped out. Oh, huh, well, maybe we'll head you down to kill off Velka as well. I mean, you've racked up some storied enemies. Tamarkan is advancing, though, so Alaric, I think you can't do anything about it, so you're gonna back off. Wait. Yeah, we heal more in enemy territory, but we can't be in range of Tamarkan right now, at least not with you. With Thorek, we can. Man, I guess we need to build a couple more armies up here. We'll divert Elmador Redax up here after he's done with the orcs, I think. Somebody's got it anyway. Vikram Burdrick. You are waiting for your Slayers. Kazadni. You've got said Slayers. Oh, I can move way further like this. Alright, fine. Go here. Deliver those Slayers, prepare for fighting Mr. Imric. You can... similarly just go like this. Alright, start heading towards him. Get that good old-fashioned dragon slaying. Rearguard Asgal, I've checked you like 3 times already. My bad, guys. I have the memory of a goldfish. Malachi, you were moving to help out Helpit. I mean... Probably gonna have to send you down to deal with Azag, unless somebody else can do it. Oh, replace Thunderer. You are no longer needed, although... Yeah, I think you're no longer needed. Alright, goodbye, replace Thunderer. Alrighty. I should really rename him to give him a proper name instead, but anyway. Dwinbar Ranulfson and Axe Storm. You guys are... Ooh, hello. Demahar Heldenmouth. Are you actually in range of him? Yes, indeed you are. Blackcap's camp is a minor settlement. We could fight it as a minor settlement. Or we could possibly fight it on the field. I'll think about it. Field battle would obviously be more interesting because the enemy can't get out of the minor settlement and just get torn apart by the axes flying through the choke points, but we'll see. Well, let's see what else we have available to us this turn, and then we'll figure it out. Callan Heldower. I guess you're gonna go grab Krugenheim. Still trying to reclaim... Well, we're also reclaiming... they said reclaim the realms. They didn't specify whose realms to reclaim, so we're reclaiming everybody's realms. Kiel. Hagenbor Ironpick, you can auto-resolve this real quick. I'm just gonna put this Thane in your army in a few seconds, like so. I was gonna put him in Callan Heldower's army, but this is another auto-resolve army. It's not super critical here. Alrighty, and oh, did I build your, somewhere? Right, so we got one Grail Knight on the way. Do we have another one available to us? Bordelot Errant. Ah, wait, no, not Bordelot Errant. We need Kuhan. Kuhan? What the heck? Am I blind? Oh, it's right there. I am indeed blind. And we can immediately build another Grail Knight, or wait a moment. If we declare war on the Broken Axe and get some proximity, we might be able to make that a lot cheaper. and then build 2 of the Grail Knights at the same time. So I think it's probably better to wait then. Alrighty, fine, fair enough. Finn Arcandra Eskelson, Rearguard Asgale, we've already taken a look at. King Azrael, you continue to advance. You are heading towards that Silver Pinnacle on your long quest. You're going to go here, and then we'll move Rearguard Asgale, or Half Hand rather. Not all the Rearguards are named the same thing. You're going to grab Fort Jakova while we make our way through Karaz-a-Karak and Karaz-a-Karak, and then onward towards Silver Pinnacle. We might maybe just wipe these guys out. And let's see, we got 2 turns. We'll confederate these guys as we go, getting a couple of extra armies here. We'll probably make 1 out of those guys. And starting to move towards linking up our territories as well, which is nice. Anyway, who is next? Who still needs to move this turn? Morgus, Death Dealer. Oh, sorry, man. You still need the rest of your troops. You know what? I'm going to move you out because he's been here kind of forever, and the global recruitment that he's been waiting on is still tied up. So either we move him now or we never move him. Morngard Whitebeard. Now you can reach. Can you reach? You can reach either one of these. Interesting. Griebit's Crooked. You have a Wa, and oh my lord, that's a lot of Savage Orc boys. Savage Orc Boar boys, I should say. But it's not so many that we shouldn't be fighting them. And I think we'll be fighting them. Alrighty, let's get you Runevotan Steel. You're gonna need it. The Thanes here. You guys are saving your points, so there's nothing to be done about it. I guess we're just going to declare war on you now. While I don't really care about the crater around here. Yes, Gork. Thank you. What about Mork, man? What happened to Mork? what the injustice. Anyway, declare war. Call your allies to help. I wonder why specific greenskins have such a Oh, we can't see you anymore? Oh no. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Yes. Oh, he was just at the edge of the range too. And please tell me we can still reach you. Why some specific greenskins have such a specific propensity to favor one or the other Gork or Mork. Anyway, let's quick save it because we've already crashed once. And that's a lot of Savage Orcs for not really a real army. But if they die, they die. It's not like we care. Go. I certainly hope victory will be ours, but we're going to have to wait and see. This is a lot, and I mean a lot, of Savage Orcs to contend with, and a ton of physical resistance on them. And just going to have to do our best to hold ground. The one thing we do have going for us is the fact that the enemy will have to wait until its reinforcements arrive on the battlefield, as the Wa starts all the way back there, so we have at least some time to work through the first enemy army before the second one arrives on field. Unfortunately, the only thing we have here is organ guns, so they're not going to be super effective against what the enemy has brought here. Even a single flame cannon would have done so much to power us up in this particular case, but, well, all we can do is hope that the organ guns can dish out enough damage to justify their presence here. Again, this is an army formed out of 2, I think, confederated armies. So we're working with what we've got and some minor changes. Anyway, in terms of the deployment, we have our units of Thunderers with Grudge Rakers and Iron Drakes out front, ready to burninate as many of the enemies that can. All the way in the back of the line, we have our Trollhammer Torps, which are going to be critical in dealing with all those Savage Orc Boar Boy Biggins, and just generally the Boars. We have our single unit of Dwarf Warriors, sort of as out front as possible, because, well, it's our only real melee unit, and it's going to have to probably work overtime. Anyway, here come the Boar Boys. We may not have a flame cannon, but we do have Iron Drakes ready to burninate the enemy. Trollhammer torpedoes come down. Blasting charges fly at your face while you're walking through those flames, or riding through those flames. And let's see. I mean, considering how much resources it took, the fact that they only lost about 55% of their HP to that is a little bit concerning. There's a lot more enemies where that came from. And all we can do is hope that we can hold the line. Here come two more Boar Boys charging on in on the left flank, smashing their way into the Grudge Rakers, which are going to have to do their best to hold. We're going to reposition one of our units of Trollhammer torpedoes in order to fire upon them. And just keep on holding the enemy back. Blasting charges keep on flying into the biggest enemy blobs that we can find, together with the Trollhammers. The blasting charges add to the Savage Orc boys, or just generally Savage Orcs or Savage Orc Biggins, whatever is behind them. And then the Trollhammers, of course, at the enemy Boar Boys. There we go. While we hold the enemy back. The bounce power remains in the enemy's favor. The Wa is still on the approach, so we still have another full stack to deal with, but fortunately, they are reasonably slow. Enemy Lord, enemy Warboss, has managed to make his way towards us. Going to take a lot of gouts of flame, but walk right through them with about 60% of his HP remaining, and immediately kill off an Iron Drake. We are going to, however, move a Thane and our Lord to deal with the Orc Warboss, because we really can't have him tying up those critical flamethrower units. Our units of I was about to say bolt throwers, organ guns, are doing their best to fire into the blob of Savage Orcs. But I think even all three of them firing into the Savage Orcs are not going to be as effective as a single flamethrower unit at dealing with them. They will retarget as soon as we have Boar Boys coming in from the wall, ready to move on in, and there's like half a dozen of them out there as well. Big old pile of Savage Orcs still in the fight against our single Dwarf Warriors, and it looks like the positioning was right on the money with regards to our single melee unit, because they were really needed here. Trolls have moved on in, but between the blasting charges and the Trollhammer torpedoes targeting them, it looks like they're having a pretty bad time of it. And the Wa continues to close the distance. The enemy Warlord has been defeated, Warboss rather, has been defeated by our own Lord and by one of his Thanes. And come on, one more bonk. There we go, very nice. The Boar Boys still managing to close the distance, however, and the Grudge Rakers at least are having a pretty difficult time in dealing with them, but what can you do? The Wa is arrived at last, and the first of the enemy Boar Boys moving on in. We're going to have to retarget them with those organ guns and burninate them two ways as best we can. We don't have significant slowdown, so they are at still 56 movement speed so that they can close the distance relatively fast. All we can do is hope that the stopping power of the Grudge Rakers and of the Drake guns, as well as the Iron Drakes, flamethrowers, is enough to deal with them. Plus all the extra damage coming in from the organ guns. That said, with the enemy was streaming down in a big old column like this, trying to reinforce the enemy as fast as they can, this is working decently well for us, so at least better than if they had spread themselves out more. Still find myself wishing we had a single flame cannon in this army. Heck, even a grudge thrower would have been really helpful here. Alright, and they are getting closer and closer, wading through the oily water as we keep firing down upon them. But the stopping power is at least still working decently well, even if we can't slow the enemy down all that much. Essentially what's happening is that the units at the front of the enemy line, the front ranks are getting pushed back by the stopping power of the Grudge Rakers and the Flamethrowers, and that causes them to force the units behind them to blob up. A little bit of crowd crush action essentially happening here. And that is keeping us, if not quite safe, at the very least not quite overrun. Alright, how are our units of organ guns? Still firing away, and we've got about 20% ammunition remaining on them. They have been trying to target the enemy Boar Boys in the enemy formation as well, since that's the better target for them, rather than the Savage Orcs. And it looks like the enemy has nearly made it through the river. We are also lucky that we got this map with the river here, because the river slowing the enemy down a little bit is also helping us a decent bit. And again, I do think that the positioning worked out reasonably well for us. It looks like the critical mass of enemies is no longer there. Our troll hammers continue to drop amongst the enemy. They did manage to get one unit of boar boys charging into our back lines, and it looks like they're heading directly towards our organ guns here. But the main enemy host is heavily damaged at this point. Our troll hammers will smack into a few of them, and our miners will charge them in the flanks, but that doesn't stop the boar boys who completely ignore them and go directly for those organ guns. Oh well, what can you do? Can't really be having them annoying our artillery, however, so we're going to switch both units of Iron Drakes with Troll Hammers to fire at the Savage Orc Boar Boys, and we're going to move our unit of Thunderers to fire at them as well until they can no longer charge those organ guns. And man, yeah, look how much, again, how much effort it takes to bring down even a single unit of these guys. No magical damage against such a massively physically resistant faction is pretty darn neat. They may not have a lot in the way of melee defense because they're savage orcs, but, well, they don't need it when they have so much physical resistance. Alrighty, and it looks like the main enemy host, only the Error Boys were still fighting, or at least knocking their arrows and trying to damage us, but it looks like they have given up as well. And with that, the battle is ours. We managed to hold the ford and carry the day against this faction. Alright, frankly, I'm surprised they didn't declare war on us earlier and left us to declare war upon them, and we get ourselves yet another heroic victory. Beautiful. Ooh, alrighty. Surprisingly close battle in the sense that we were always on the verge of being overrun. The organ guns did, well, they did okay. 49,000 damage, 38,000 damage, and 29,000 damage. Certainly they outdamaged, well, not all the Thunderers, but at least some of the Thunderers, and did not, however, outdamage either the Trollhammer Iron Drakes or very much so not the regular Iron Drakes, but, well, they're not really for killing off droves of infantry anyway. Plus, that's 2 full stacks of, what is it, 40% physical resistance, or 30%, I don't know, whatever the physical resistance on the Savage Orcs is, and that's not ideal for this army, especially as it had not, it isn't venerating Smednir, it's not really venerating anything because it's just a random Confed army. Anyway, just in case we're going to attract replacements. Army should be destroyed. Luckily for us, they were in march stance. I do imagine that if they weren't in march stance, there's a decent likelihood that this army would have been overrun. Free Guildmaster, lovely. Still, not that we need the money, but gotta get to 1 million gold per turn before we end the campaign. That's for damn sure. Mornguard Whitebeard, just gonna auto-resolve this, and I think you should be able to march stance into reinforce to make sure that the place goes down easy. Alright, quick save, a lot of resolve this, at least the game should let us. I do believe these guys do have another army running around, so we do have to be careful on that one. Auto-resolve, another Trickster Shard, and Occupy. Hey, no, Ranger Standard, yeah, you can hold on to the Ranger Standard. What was I saying? Maybe we should swap some of the items around, between these two armies, we could probably make a pretty darn solid single stack. Certainly something to consider. But anyway, Mornguard ain't garden anymore, that's for certain. And what do we have here at the Quarries of Woe, incidentally? I think this should be auto-resolvable as well. I think it should be auto-resolvable as well. You head to the Quarries of Woe, let's see what the game says about it. Close victory. It's probably going to damage the Slayers, but it is what it is. This is certainly not worth fighting until we find a proper stack, the likes of which we've been fighting all episode. And wait, did we just pick up a green item? What the heck? How did you get a green item? Or maybe it was the Talisman of Preservation. I thought I saw a Talisman of Endurance, but I guess it wasn't. Equipment gained. I'm curious now. No, okay, it was the Talisman Preservation. I just, apparently I'm colorblind. Alrighty, well, that's fine. These guys should heal up nicely. It's not yet a fully complete army, but it will get there, and these guys should go down rather quickly, and we started making inroads into taking the at least the elements of the crater around Jarnagrin that we want. Without wanting the entire thing, we need to at least wipe out the hostile factions that are close to our holdings in the Mountains of Morn. Anyway, with that, folks, we're out of time. I'm going to call the episode here next time. Ugh. Well, next time I'll have to figure out what to do with Grumbrindle after we end the turn. Still probably a fair few battles left remaining this turn. As soon as we end the turn, we are besieging Ekrund, and we'll have a nice fight for Finarca and Raskulsson, who's still a relatively new army. Well, not anymore, really, but the gunnery army is pretty fun, and I'm still excited to see it continue fighting. And against these Savage Orcs, as we just saw, oh, I got a Savage Orc idol, too. Against these Savage Orcs, as we just saw, they have all those resistances, and on top of having those, they've got... It's 45%, good lord. You're not venerating Smednir. Yeah, you're not venerating Smednir. We have no magical damage here. And no flamethrowers. That'll be a fun fight for you. Anyway, you will have fun with those next episode, and, well, I'm sure other lords, other armies will have fun as well, as we are looking to attack Urbino with Kazran Grimbrow here, with whatever smattering of troops he has. Several of these armies need to move out. The Armored Slayer army is nearly ready. Want to see if we can get them up to 80 armor between everything we have and get some unkillable Doomseekers for us. Anyway, more Davy to come. Stay tuned. Likes and comments below determine length of campaign remaining. All glory to the algorithm. Oh, and this army's going to fight as well. And thanks for watching.